listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hey, what's going on, family? Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast, weekday edition. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive reinforcement of original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast, and I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. All right. How's everybody doing on this wonderful Wednesday? Today's hump day. We made it almost over the hump. Weekend right around the corner. This year's just speeding by. I think it's on like 3 more weekends, 2.5 more weekends for back to school shopping till school officially starts for the youngins. But how's everybody doing today? I'm doing great. Had a fantastic day. Well rested. Got a lot accomplished today. Praying you guys did as well, or projecting positive thoughts that you guys did as well. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So, for those unfamiliar with my platform, how I get things started off is, walking the listeners through a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast, just to familiarize you with my content, my platform, and everything to expect from my content. Now that I've exchanged pleasantries, let's get right on into the content, starting at the top. Tippy, the name, Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast as I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture. I get to the original part a little bit later on in the segment. So what I want to do to counter the media's inaccurate and negative perception of our people and our culture is to design a platform where I'm highlighting and showcasing us at our best, playing up our strengths, and really just trying to bring it into focus about who we are as a people, as opposed to, how the media depicts us as a people. So that's, why I exist, what the Narrative Podcast is basically all about. I'm here to, offer positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. I'm here to inform people outside of our culture, to inform them about us, and just basically dismantle all these negative stereotypes and stigmas about us. Encourage the listening audience, or rather inform the listening audience why it's so important to responsibly utilize your platforms to tell stories about our people and our culture, and then also encourage the listening audience to responsibly use your platforms to tell stories about our people and our culture. So having said that, I think that's the perfect segue to my tagline, the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? by providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Hence the title of the Narrative Podcast. So that's entirely, my mission statement. I'm here to destroy negative stereotypes about our people and our culture. I'm here to uplift and edify my people and my culture, and put things into perspective or change the narrative. So, and by change the narrative, I mean change the narrative about how we're depicted in the media, how we're viewed. But real quick, just don't be misconstrued. I don't want this sentiment to be misconstrued. I don't exist to enlighten people outside of our culture. I don't care what people outside of our culture, think about our people and our culture. And I don't think people within my culture should care about what people outside of us think about us, how they view us. It's just basically, if you're going to tell our story correctly, tell it from the perspective of who we truly are as a people, and who we truly are as a people are the kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe, and don't ever get it twisted. But anyway, the next important point of information you should know about my platform, as I refer to my target listening audience as my narrators. They're my target listening target demographic. They're just basically the people that tune in every single week that I broadcast. So what do I mean by a narrator? What do I mean when I say that? I mean, we're all smart here. You can Google the definition of narrator, but I'll bring you up to speed. Basically, I call my target listening audience my narrators because, I'm just acknowledging the time that we're living in now. We're living in the digital information age, where gathering and sharing information online, knowledge is available to us at the touch of a button. We can access knowledge. We can, network with other people. You can just basically socialize online. You can create whatever reality you want about yourself or the world online from, your perspective, how you perceive things, your own narrative. So that's what I mean when I call my target listening audience my narrators, because these days all these digital platforms come with a bio section, and in the bio section, people are telling or narrating their own stories. They're putting out the best version, the best iteration of themselves, or if it's a product page or something like that, if they're online trying to sell something, they're trying to upload the best imagery of their product. They're trying to persuade you to believe whatever product they're trying to sell is the very best. If it's your own personal page as an individual, you're putting out imagery and content that supports your fantastic life, that everything's so good and so great, that you are a great person, that you have the most fun, you vacation in the most lavish places, you eat at really good restaurants, because people are always sharing their most intimate details online. You stay at the best hotels, you drive the best cars, or even if you're like a down-to-earth person, you're showing content and imagery that, helps you prove how down to earth you are, how, approachable you are. You're in essence, you're just basically telling your best story, giving the best example of you. And so that's what I believe we need to do as a people. We need to be telling or putting out the best possible stories about us. We need to be showing the world the best possible versions of ourselves. We need to be telling or narrating our own stories. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. And that's precisely what the media is currently doing and has been doing ever since we've existed. They've been telling our story, and they've been telling our story from a negative perspective. They've been telling our story. They've placed negative stereotypes over us and negative stigmas over us, and made us the face of all things degenerate. So it's up to us to bring it back into focus by telling or narrating our own stories. And that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. So one little quick tidbit that I want to just share about the media before moving on to my next point that you should know about the Narrator podcast. The media is ran by a horrible, wicked group of people that control it. That's why they put out all these negative stereotypes and stigmas about us, because the people that control the media wants them to. And who controls the media? The elite class, higher echelon of the world, aka wealthy white people. And why do they do this? Why do they fixate so much on us and pretty much everybody in the world? Why do they use the media to manipulate, whatever images they want to manipulate about certain groups of people, specifically our people, original people? It's because they want to be, omnipotent. They want to be, the face of sophistication. They want to be the face of refinement, class, elegance, all things fancy. They want to be the face of that. And to be the face of that, to maintain their status that they set, maintain their standards that they've set for themselves. They use the media to vilify everybody else, to make everybody else, when in comparison to them, appear to be violent, appear to be uneducated, appear to be degenerate in nature, appear to be lewd and crude and crass, unclean, unholy, unrefined, undignified. And they, like I said, they do it to everybody. But out of all the people that they do it to, they do it to our people the most. Why do they do it to our people the most? Because they fear our people the most. Why do they fear us the most? Because, the higher echelon, the elite society, they're very wise people. They didn't get to where they are at in their life. They didn't achieve the status that they currently have without studying. They were studying our people at the beginning of the time. They was fearful of our people. They were so jealous of us, they wanted us out of the way. So that's why they designed all these little laws and systems and governments and policies, just basically to make themselves be important, to make themselves exclusive, to make themselves be the creme de la creme of everything, you know. And to achieve that, what they do is surround themselves with status symbols. And the message that they want to push is, life in excess. They want to push mass consumerism. So, don't get me wrong, there's nothing, money isn't the root of all evil. There's nothing wrong with being wealthy. It becomes dangerous when you worship the money. Money's supposed to be a tool just to, help you achieve your higher calling. And then when you're really tapped in and dialed in with the universe, you don't even need the money. Things will just come to you, and you'll be able to, fulfill your purpose and stay on your path. You will acquire the resources. You will just magnetically attract the resources you need to fulfill your destiny in life. But the higher echelon, they don't see it like that. But anyway, like I said, they do it to everybody. They vilify everybody, but they do it to our people the most because they fear our people the most. They studied our history. They've been studying this for years, and they know without no us, there would be no them. One reason why they fear us so much is because we're so dynamic, we're so impactful, that everybody wants to be like us. Everybody, wants to follow our examples, what from, fashion to food to entertainment to sports, social. We are the face of all things cool. It's not officially cool until we say it's cool. We're just so dynamic and impactful. Everybody wants to emulate us to some capacity, borrow from our culture, incorporate our culture into theirs. All music forms, primarily hip-hop, that's the number one, genre in the entire world, and it could not exist if, we didn't create it. Now, there's an ongoing debate about, the creators and the time periods and the contributors and the architects, but at the end of the day, we created original people. But anyway, so yeah, that's why they fear so much. They're fearful of our, our just natural, divine state of being. Like everybody wants to be like us, and the only way they can be relevant or get people to notice them is to surround themselves with very expensive things, while we are just, dynamic and impactful naturally. A few of us, there's a whole lot of us now that are very wealthy and can afford those status symbols, but even without those status symbols, we would still be dynamic and impactful and prideful, like a true original person, unfazed and unbothered by the world, knowing their heritage, their rich heritage, what we came from, just naturally carries themselves with an air of dignity, an air of humility, and we just command any room that we're in. Like, it's cool that we have the European fashion designers, but we don't need it to stand out. They need those things to stand out. They need that mansion to stand out. They need those designer labels to stand out. We don't. We're a natural people by nature. Out of all the beings on the planet, we are the most connected to nature, meaning we don't need, material things to define us. And so that's a big reason why they're so fearful of it. So fearful of us, because they're afraid that people will, wake up and say, hey, I don't need to buy this $1,800 shirt just because I have $1,800 in my pocket or in my bank account or whatever. I don't need to buy this or $300,000 to $500,000 car just because I have, that much money. You see what I'm saying? We will spark a revolution when because people already emulate us, and then that would be their downfall. That's the only way they have power, is because they're using these status symbols to define their power and define their importance. And we threaten their very existence. Another reason why they are fearful of us is because, they have a guilty conscience about everything that they've done to us. And their biggest fear is that we would reclaim everything they took from us, and do to them what they've done and are currently doing to us. That's their biggest fear. That's what keeps them up at night. But it's an ill-gotten fear, because that's not who we are as a people. We're not a vengeful people. We don't have a history of taking things that don't belong to us. We don't have a history of rape. We don't have a history of causing turmoil and destruction everywhere we existed. The only thing we ever have a track record of is, enlightening humanity. Everywhere we existed, we taught other civilizations how to survive and live off the land. We taught people about spirituality and religion. We created pretty much everything. We don't have a history of taking anything. But I just wanted to point out that quick little factoid. Some more misnomers you need to be aware of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. This is a positive space. I use it to uplift and edify my people. I don't engage in gossip, slander, negativisms. I don't do denigration, name calling, none of that. I don't encourage that on my platform. I feel gossip is destroying us as a people. So like I said, I'm just here to provide positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and encourage the listening audience to do the same on their platforms. So, I don't do any negative talk here and slander and name calling or any of that. Now, what I do, however, is I do tell the truth. This is a place of truth. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't tell lies. Like, if I do feel that there's people within our community who are intentionally misrepresenting our people and our culture, I will call said individuals out. Other than that, this is a positive space. I don't do any gossip, name calling, or slander. And as a matter of fact, if I ever bring up a famous person's name, it isn't to clout chase or bash them. It's just basically to frame up a scenario. I do deliver commentary here. I talk about current events, what's going on in the world as it relates to our people, original people. Basically, all the points that I frame up, is from this perspective. Anything negative that happens in our community can almost 90% of the time be traced back to, systemic racism, psychological programming and conditioning of our people. Almost 90% of the time. Yes, we have things that we need to work on as a people. Yes, we have, things in our community we need to work on and get better at, just like everybody else does. But out of everybody else in the world, we've had the most done to us. We've been the most experimented on. We've been the most targeted, most hunted, most hated people on this planet or physical plane for people that don't believe in round earth. There's literally nobody that's had it worse than we've had it. And you can quote me on that, and I can back it up with receipts. You bring your receipts, and I bring my receipts, and see who had it worse than our people. But yeah, that's basically, if I ever bring up a famous person's name, I'm just framing it up, from that perspective of, whatever is happening that's negative in their life, how the media tries to capture it, whatever negative thing is happening in their life, whatever, negative thing is happening to that famous person. It can, like, almost 90% of the time be traced back to systemic racism and psychological programming and conditioning. We've been psychologically programmed and conditioned to react to each other a certain way, treat each other a certain way, view ourselves a certain way. So that's what's at play when something negative is happening in our community, because we've been programmed, we've been brainwashed to, act and live negatively. So not to say that you control your own destiny and keep a positive mindset and you choose. It is your choice. It is. True to the fact, it is your choice about, what you choose to, what you choose to enter into your subconscious, and how you choose to respond to negativity. It is your choice. But when we're constantly being bombarded with negativity every single day, when we're constantly being portrayed in a negative light in movies, on television, in literature, in music, over the radio, in advertisements, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it kind of does something to you. It kind of does something to us. It kind of does something to people outside of our culture, which is how, the powers that shouldn't be designed it that way. So that's basically how I try to frame it up. If I ever bring up a famous person's name, is just basically to point out the track. Next order of business, the Narrator Podcast is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. The reason is because, number one, I'm an all-audio platform, so I have to keep my listening audience engaged. I can't keep you engaged if I'm boring you to sleep. So I basically just try to keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it nitty gritty. And then also try to entertain you as well. And just basically create the atmosphere where you're wanting to come back to keep listening to my content. And I can't do that if I'm just, droning on and on and on, talking without any speaking points, and, going down long rabbit holes. So I just try to keep it short and sweet. And, that's why I try to time each episode. And I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. And then, which brings me to my very last point, of the Narrative Podcast. I know you've been hearing me say it over and over again. I refer to our people as original people, and I do that for two reasons. Number one, the historical accuracy, and then the second reason is the unity. So, for the historical accuracy part of it, we were and are the original people of this planet. We were here first. We were here thousands of years before every race, nationality, whatever you want to call it. We was here first. We existed before anything was. We were as a people. Not only was we here first, we pretty much invented everything first, especially here in the Americas. Regardless of what the Industrial Revolution that they teach us in American history, pretty much every invention was actually invented by black people, but it was stolen because they were owned. The slave masters stole their invention. That's why they invented the patent system. But we pretty much every invention can be traced back to us. There ain't nothing new under the sun. Everything modern day, we had an ancient version of it. But anyway, like I said, we were and are the original people of this planet. We was here first. That's why I refer to our people as original. And then before I go into the unity part of it, I just want to dispel this false narrative that they keep on trying to perpetuate in history. They try to keep on trying to make slavery the most important part of our history. And like I said, being original people, does it not stand to reason that we actually had rich, thriving civilizations before slavery? Does it not also stand to scientific reasoning? If we was here first, did we not exist in other places besides Africa? Of course it does. Of course it does. There's 7 continents. We was on every single last one of them. Long, thousands of years before slavery, especially here in the Americas. Said all that to say we didn't get to all these different places on slave ships. And then the false narrative comes into place. Or that's where the false narrative comes into place. People weren't sailing around the world in ships. They were sailing around in boats. And the average boat doesn't even hold over 50 people. So why are they showing us these pictures of the lower deck with over 100 slaves? Doesn't even make sense. There was no nautical laws of the transatlantic slave trade. The route they took, no maps, nothing. They just said, for thousands of years they was going back and forth getting slaves from Africa. So while some of us did, were, from Africa, some of us, were from Africa. The majority of us, we already existed in, wherever we was at in the world, especially here in the Americas. Like, it just makes sense. Does that make sense that they kept on going back and forth to Africa, getting slaves, or does it make more sense that they just enslaved the indigenous people of the lands that they conquered? That makes more sense, don't it? But yeah, I just want to point out that little false narrative. There's all kinds of literature. There's all kinds of books. There's all kinds of professors, white professors at that, since you don't want to never believe black people, or original people, as I refer to it on this platform, that support everything I'm saying. You can do your own due diligence on that. But on to the unity part of it. Like I said, there are many different types of us, hailing from different land masses, speaking different languages, believing in different ideologies, religion, spirituality, etc. But there's a couple things that we have in common as a people. You know, number one, first and foremost, we was all here first, original people. You know, we're all original. And then we all have large concentrations of carbon, aka melanin. And we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization. So that's why I refer to our people as original people. I mean, you know, if you're comfortable referring to yourself as black or whatever your nationality is, go right on ahead. But on my platform, I refer to our people as original people. So anytime you hear me say original, I'm talking about us. And I feel you should be saying original too, but I don't tell people, you know, what they should do and what they need to do. Like, you know, do whatever floats your boat. But I think you're all up to speed on the Narrator podcast. Everything you need to know. I'm over 300 episodes in. If I glazed over anything, or if, you know, you're still kind of hazy, you know, I'm over 300 episodes in. You know, go to wherever you get your podcast information from and look for my podcast, the Narrator podcast, hosted by me, Halzie Allen, and download, you know, all the episodes prior to this one. All right, so now that you're up to speed on the Narrator podcast, I'm going to go ahead and dive right on into the content. Just before I do, I need you to know that I have two formats, a weekday format and a weekend format. So obviously, today is Wednesday. This is the weekday format. And on the weekday format, the positive frames of reference that I share, because as I stated, you know, in the opening of my synopsis of the Narrator podcast, I'm here to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So my positive frames of reference that I share about our people and our culture during the weekday come in the form of positive news articles. And the reason why I feel the need to do positive news articles is because, you know, the powers that shouldn't be, using their media devices, will have us believing that nothing good ever happens in our community. So during the weekday, I share motivational news content, motivational stories, you know, inspiring stories about us triumphing in the face of adversity, being leaders in our community, being humanitarians, doing something positive to impact our communities and the world. Just the opposite of the way, you know, we're portrayed in the media, which is downtrodden, ignorant, violent, etc. You know, for the males that want us to embody criminals, they want, you know, to make us the face of gang banging and you know, gun violence and drug dealing and drug using, alcoholism, you know, not handling your responsibilities as a father, having no purpose and no sense of urgency, not and navigating through life with no sense of urgency. And for our women, they want to portray them as, hard to deal with, hard to manage, angry all the time, or amoral. They want to make them, thoughts whores, or just overly strong, independent, don't need a man, don't like men in general, but definitely don't want one of her brothers. And they want to paint her out as angry all the time. So that's why I do positive news articles, just to play up our strengths, highlight everything that we're doing right, and showcase us at our best instead of our worst. So that's the purpose of the positive news articles during the weekday, when I do my weekday editions of the Narrator podcast. So without any further ado, first positive news article of the weekday here on this on the weekday edition of the Narrator podcast. The headline reads: Black farmers finally received $2 billion payout from USDA after historic discrimination lawsuit. So, for 40 years, the National Black Farmers Association, who was founded by a brother by the name of John Boyd, has fought for black farmers, securing a $2.2 billion USDA settlement. The verdict was made possible due to the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm not going to tell you what the Inflation Reduction Act entails. I'll leave that to your capable hands. You can look that up yourself. The monies allocated from this settlement will provide 43,000 farmers up to $500,000 each, averaging out to $82,000 per farmer. They've also secured settlements for the Hispanic community, women, and Native American farmers. So let's give it up for the Black Farmers Alliance in their settlement. Pardon me, the name of that organization was the National Black Farmers Association. All right, moving right along. Next article, the headline reads: 3 women own newest black-owned jewelry storefronts in Baton Rouge. And the name of the jewelry storefront is called Get Signatured. And to find out more about, what their product offers, what type of deals, head on over to getsignatured.com. So basically what sets them apart from other jewelries is tailored jewelry. They'll do any type of design you want to. They got stencils, and they craft stones, and they just basically customize your jewelry for you. So it's a jewelry customization place that size it up for you, and give you the best possible fit for you. If we're talking rings, if we're talking about charm bracelets, if we're talking about bezels and watches, they'll customize it for you. They'll take care of all your jewelry needs. Now they're located at 11445 Course Boulevard, Suite O in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70816. They're open from Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And if you want more specific information about the jury, you can contact them at getsignature.com. And the proprietors of this business is a sister by the name of Pernisha Williams, Jessica Matthews, and Deanna Bynog, B-Y-N-O-G. So yeah. So if you're ever in Baton Rouge, hit up Get Signatured or check them out online, getsignature.com. Give it up for our sisters, Anisha, Jessica, and Deanne, of Get Signatured. And I'm just kind of breezing so fast. I forgot to tell you, they opened up, their grand opening was in 2023. So they've been around for a year now, so they stamped and certified in the game now. The article that I came across, it was like, it was an old article, so they had it as their grand opening. So I had to do my research, but yeah, they've been around for about a year now. Up next on this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast, the headline reads, Black woman pioneer patent design for eco-friendly paper plates with built-in cup holders. And the sister's name is Lisa Ray Bell. She's born and raised in D.C. It didn't really go on to say anything more about the invention other than what she called it. It's called Bell Bowls. And yes, I did look it up online, so I think she just patented the idea, which is an ingenious idea. I think she took the concept from the cup cozies from, QSR restaurants, like, the cup holder dilly, the little cardboard cup holder, and just like the cozy where you actually put your little burger meal. So that's what she did. She combined that concept but made it with biodegradable material. So yeah, so to keep your drink nice and cold and to keep your food nice and warm because it's insulated. So yeah, I don't see a website where it's available, but she got the patent on it, and I think it's coming pretty soon. So let's put them together for our brilliant sister, Lisa Renee Bell. All right. Last but not least, this is a story of redemption. So I saved the best for last. So the last article This evening on the Narrative Podcast, the headline reads, Man who was wrongfully convicted graduates from college after 5 grueling years on death row. Or death row. I said road. The brother's name is Ryan Matthews. He was convicted in 1997 of murder in the first. Basically what had happened, a storefront clerk got unalived, and the people that did it was, had a car identical to the car he was driving. So it was basically a story of wrong place, wrong time, and him and the driver, a brother by the name of Travis Hayes, they picked him up. They had went off the witness statements. Of course, the witnesses were people that don't look like us, and they was either confused or clearly lying about seeing the guys' faces. But longer story short, got apprehended, got arrested in 97, got convicted in 99. Now, for some odd reason, the driver got charged with manslaughter. Ryan got put to death. So they identified him as the shooter. But he filed, I guess there's a exoneration program in Louisiana, so I think he applied for that, or some type of exoneration law. I think that was one of the big deals when the orange guy was in office. He let out a whole lot of wrongfully convicted felons, passed some sort of little law. But longer story short, he got exonerated, and he got awarded $133,000 for his ordeal. The driver got $252,000. So after his little stint, when he got released from prison, he enrolled at TWA in Denton, Texas. So and the work was he earned a degree in applied sciences, or some places they call it gen ed, but it's still it's still good for everything he went through. So he says he intends on getting something else. He wants to give back, to the world. Something. He says he wants to pursue either something in law, or so nobody go through the same ordeal he went through, or something where he's dealing with the people, some type of vocational training, or career counselor or something like that. That's what he wants to do. In the article that I read, the story was also made popular on CNN. He says he wants to pursue graduate school. There's not really anything else in that article. I just took, it's a whole lot, but it's more like, his wife that he married, her ordeal she had, sticking with him throughout the whole process, because he was only 17 when it happened. So they had a family, you know, got married, had a family. It did go on to say, you know, he worked 12, he was going to school while working 12-hour shifts, and then still had full-time daddy duty, picking his children up from school and taking them, you know, to school and attending, you know, important milestones in their academic, you know, in their academic life, like going to school for like Parents' Day and stuff like that, and parent-teacher conferences and all that type of stuff. So, you know, that's a true test of resilience, true test of, you know, wanting something out in life, wanting something better for your life, from your life, out of your life, and then also not letting your present circumstances not deter your future destination. So, yeah, that's definitely, you know, rising in the face of adversity and achieving something great. And that's what, you know, my platform is all about: covering stories, providing those positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So, without any further ado, give it up for this very resilient brother. You know, he got down a lot of times, but he never gave up. Mr. Ryan Matthews. And not to be confused with the football player. That's not that Ryan Matthews. All right, so I'm officially done with the. That was my last positive news article of the evening, and now we're moving on to my commentary. And what I do is I commentate on, you know, current events, whether it's globally, nationally, or something from, you know, something that's going on within our community. And the purpose of me doing that is basically to control the narrative. And I already told you why. So, you know, onto the current event section, which I refer to as my speaking point. I usually have a plethora of speaking points that I want to cover, but I'm just only got one I want to briefly talk about, and I might, you know, tack on some sub points to that point. But it's just really just one thing I wanted to speak about briefly this evening. Or actually, I got two things. Let's start off positive. So, my first thing I want to talk about is, you know, there has been an update on the Devontae Mitchell case that I've been talking about. So, brother Devontae Mitchell, if you're unfamiliar with that particular headline, this is a brother that got unalived in Milwaukee at a hotel at the Hyatt Regency in Milwaukee. So what basically allegedly happened was the security at the hotel ejected him from the hotel after reports of him allegedly being in the female's restroom. So they ejected him out of the hotel and then proceeded to, you know, hold him down and, you know, beat him. They beat him so bad, you know, They unalived him. That's how bad they beat him. So they pinned him down to the ground and was beating him in his face and in his torso. And also, at one point, strangling him. So the coroner's report was, you know, you know what I'm trying to say. I can't say the word. Got strangled. Asphyxiate. Still like asphyxiate. My bad. Like I was so tongue-tied. Asphyxiate. But anyway, so they strangled the brother to death, and you know, he was DOA when the police got there, and so they've been since that incident. I believe it happened on not too long ago, just a few weeks, June 30th. So today, the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office filed felony murder charges against the 4 former Hyatt Regency employees. And they are Erickson, Turner, Williamson, and Johnson Carson. Yeah, it just says Williamson. It doesn't say his first name. Erickson, Turner, Williamson, and Johnson Carson. Anyway, they got the 4 dirt bags, and I guess they're going to, you know, file the felony charges or whatever. So Todd Erickson was the on-duty security guard. Brandon Turner was an off-duty security guard. Devin Johnson Carson, a front desk clerk, and Herbert Williamson was the bellman. And I kind of feel sorry for Herbert Williamson because I seen, you know, his involvement in it. He was holding down the legs, but, you know, he said he felt that he was going to get fired. And if you've seen the video, I think it was TMZ, he doesn't seem too, I don't like talking about people, but he doesn't seem like too intelligent. Probably had some priors and probably really felt he couldn't get another job, you know. But that part where I don't feel sorry for him when because you know, report also said that our brother Devontae kept trying to get up, and they kept on pinning him down and kept beating him. So they had the video footage of him kept on trying to flee from the assault. Because at this point, you're not supposed to be putting your hands on him. You've already ejected him from the hotel. What are you doing pummeling him? What do you got doing having him pinned down? At this point, you're supposed to call the police. As long as he's out of the hotel, they said y'all ejected him because he was allegedly in the women's bathroom. So okay, so now he's out the hotel. He's trying to get up and get away from y'all. What do you keep on, you know, tackling him to the floor and trying to beat him for? Like he's gone, he's out of there. So, you know, and then also said he had severe, his parents came forward, says he has severe mental health issues, and I'm just not, like, I just don't get how come when people in our community have mental health issues, the people who have, you know, severe mental health issues, because severe mental health issues has been, you know, inflicted upon us from everything that we've gone through as a people. Like, how come we don't get compassion when they see something inherently wrong with one of us? Like, we're not human or something? Like, we can't have an off day or just something not be right? Something's a little off, we don't get the little off pass. Everybody else gets the little off pass. Oh, something's wrong with that person. Let them go on about their business. That look like something's wrong with them. We're the only people in the world that don't get the mentally off pass. But anyway, they brought these dirtbags up on charges, and it looks like they're only facing up to like 15 years if convicted each. So, you know, if nobody's going to get convicted, the bellhop's getting convicted for sure. I didn't mean to like snicker, but you know, he's a brother, so we already know how that's going to play out for him. The other three are white. So, yeah, fingers crossed. And then, yeah, that's all I want to cover on that. They're being brought up on charges, and it's breaking news. It just happened today. And then the next thing I want to talk about, the elephant in the room. Oh boy, the deputy shot the sheriff. The deputy shouldn't get away though. So, unless you've been living under a rock. So the deputy, Sean Grayson, has spoken out. He says he feared his life for being seriously injured by what was on the stove, which wasn't nothing but some boiling water. And he told her a couple of times to get away from the stove. He said, if you don't get away from the stove, I'm going to shoot you in the effing face. Like when he said that, he said, don't hurt me. And then told her what he told her. He said, and then she's like, I'm going to rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And then he did what he did. But anyway, he said, like any typical Caucasian person, most Caucasian people, I don't like generalization, I ain't saying all white people's like that, but most white people are afraid of us. So he's already scared. He's a coward with the gun. He's scared of a woman. Says, if you don't get away from that pot or get away from the stove, I'm going to shoot you in your effing face. He had an attitude upon entering the house. You know, he was belligerent entering the house on the body cam. Did nothing after he made the mistake. You know, showed no compassion, no remorse after he did it. Would not let his partner get the the partner tried to get the medical get her medical attention. He refused to get her medical attention, and yeah, so now our sister's no longer with us. Big open debate. A whole bunch of people say he was justified. A whole lot of people say he was not justified. Now, of course, I'm saying he wasn't justified. Of course, I'm saying, you know, he's a dirtbag for doing that. You know, They need to put him underneath the jail. But what the law says, now the law is kind of like, it's a slippery slope. Because the law says, if it's an inch, there's a mile. He already established his defense. He said he was in fear for his life. And the law in Illinois basically, the police have discrepancy. They got their own discrepancy on what they view as, malicious intent, meaning they can judge the situation if it was, lawful enough for them to use the proper force. He said he feared for his life, being scolded by the hot water. Was just total garbage. But in the video, when she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," she did say, "I'm sorry," did duck at one point before he shot her. But in that little instance, she made an action like she was appearing to lunge at him with the hot water. And that's going to be a slippery slope moving forward with the law, with what the law says. Of course, I think he's a dirtbag. Of course, everybody in our community think he's a dirtbag and he needs to be unalived. But that's, they're going to use that. They're going to look at all the angles and, and then also she had mental health issues and she was having she was spazzing out a little bit. I mean, there was laughing and there was joking, and then it got serious. So it's sad and unfortunate, when whites cry, blacks lose lives. It's like, when they feel threatened by us. What was that movie? Oh, what is that movie? The Magical Negro. We got to sit up here and make white people feel comfortable so they don't feel afraid and intimidated by us. Because if they feel afraid or intimidated by us in any way, we go to jail or lose our lives from their fear because they're afraid. We ain't gave them no reason to be afraid of us. They done did everything to us. Everything you can imagine they've done to us. Bro, they used to eat us. They used to eat us in slavery. But they scared of us. So I don't know. It's just a real slippery slope. It's a little gray area with that law. Basically, it's like the police can use their discretion, what they deem as, a right to use lethal force. Now, don't argue with me, argue with your mama. That's what the law says. I want justice for the sister, but they're gonna try to unpack that and use that she lunged forward or made a movement that would appear like she's lunging. So if there's white people on that jury, they're going to see her lunging with the hot water. She lunged. She lunged at him with the hot water, and it was a what do you call it? A reflex. He did it on the reflex. That's what they're going to say, the jury, the white jury members. It was a reflex. Now the only way she won't, or homeboy will get convicted is because, you know, they're going to be afraid of possible riots. Ben Crump is very good. He's excellent. Ben, he got a battle on his hand. You know he got a battle. Because Illinois, they is a racist state, man. Super racist. So that's what he's up against with that case. You know, it's a real gray area with that. The fact he said he feared for his life, that's all it takes. You know, that's the benefit of the doubt. If a white person said they was scared or they was in fear of their life, you know, that's their little wiggle room. Now, had the situation been reversed, had it been Sonia that would have shot him for being aggressive with her, we already know the outcome. Like, we wouldn't even, you know, there wouldn't have even, she would have already been instantly, you know, incarcerated, and they wouldn't give a damn about her mental health issues. They would have been like, okay, she's going to jail, she'll be in psych ward, but she's going to jail. And they'll keep her locked up until, you know, you know, a physician declared her mentally competent to stand trial. But like, it's a slippery slope. I don't believe his apology. I don't believe he was threatened by hot water. I believe, like everybody else believes, he went up in that house on some bush, and he got aggressive, he got hostile, and, you know, he got a horrible record. You know, one department that he was at, you know, he was caught lying about something that happened, and just, you know, if the other guy hadn't had his body cam on, you know how crazy this looks from the inside? Like, he already had the alibi. He already had his alibi. Like, he got his alibi ready, but the you know, the body cam told on him. But like I've been saying, like, these white supremacists, they're everywhere. They're in government buildings. They're on the police force. They're in the CIA. They're in the FBI. They're in the military, all branches of the military. They're in Homeland Security. So there ain't no, you know, extent to their ranks. Said all that to say the call done went out. It's election time. We're going to start seeing more Sonya Macy's from here until, you know, election time. And then quite possibly a dozen or so more after election time. So if he does not get convicted, what's going to happen is, you know, it's going to spark, you know, it's going to be George Floyd all over again. And then it's going to be a martial law type situation. Because we're not letting that slide. And I'm not advocating violence. I'm just telling like it is. We're not letting that slide, bro. Our people are very emotional. Sometimes our emotions override our intelligence as a people. And this is one of them things designed to manipulate our emotions into doing just that. I don't know why they want us to do that, But if he's found innocent, that is for sure going to happen. For sure. For sure. I can unequivocally attest to that. I don't think we want to sit up here and rationalize and try to use emotional intelligence. If they say not guilty, it's going to be the Watts riots all over again. It's going to be the George Floyd all over again. It's going to be all them instances when we had enough. That's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because we're already fed up. Because here we are again with two candidates that don't have nothing in it for our people. There's no legislation in it for our people. Either candidate. So if either one of these bozos win, we as a people lose. So I don't get why people are online arguing about the orange guy and about the Rachel. Kamala. You know, she pulled a Rachel Dolezal on us, man. She want that black vote so bad. But yeah. So we don't got no choices for this election, man. I mean, if you want to vote, vote. Both of their policies are crappy. You know, I mean, I'm going to tell you how it really is. It's like America is governed by corporations. And whoever the corporation, they already got the winner. They already picked it. She knows she's not going to win. She just now got a running mate. Ain't never produced not near receipt of this $2 million for her campaign. She just said it online. They made an online post, and we believe that. But I don't want to make it about them. I kind of veered off putting. It's about this dirtbag. So he said he was scared of this sister with the of boiling water. It probably would have skinned him up really bad had she threw it on him. He probably would have had second and third degree burns, but he wouldn't have lost his life. He knows that. Anybody with common sense knows that. Even if it had been like would have been frying something and it was like fish grease, he still wouldn't have died. But yeah, just something to think about, something to pontificate. Like every time white people get scared of our presence, we either end up in jail or end up unalived. And then the primary reason why they're so afraid of us, like I said at the beginning of my breakdown of my synopsis, is because they, the higher echelon, they run the media, and they show them the imagery of us that they want them to see. They're programming them like they're programming us. And that's why it's all up to all of us to change the narrative. So on that note, this episode of the Narrator Podcast is officially a wrap. Be safe out here, y'all. When you leave your residence, when you're out and about, make sure your phone is fully charged. Make sure you got a phone, with a camera that's easy to get to, that you can hit it on immediately. Keep your phone on, keep your dash cam on at all times, even on routine stops. Let people know when you're leaving the house, somebody close to you, where you're going, because it's real. They done bought it to our front door. Like, it's just so much going on right now. We're at critical mass. This country is at critical mass. We need to be in a state of preparedness. We need to be preparing our minds, bodies, and finances for things right around the corner. We don't got much time to do it. It's not a joke out here. But I love y'all. Be safe. Join me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrator Podcast. Tune in on a regular basis as I do weekly uploads. I'll probably be hitting y'all either tomorrow or Friday for another weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. This weekend for sure, with a full edition of the Narrator Podcast. I'm shooting for Saturday. It might be Sunday. Fingers crossed for Saturday, but check me out this weekend for sure for a full edition of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Download this episode of the Narrative Podcast and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. And the best way to do that is to follow me on YouTube or X. And I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. I stay good at Halsey Allen on X. And the reason why you want to follow me on either of those two mediums is because this platform that I'm on automatically uploads to YouTube and X as soon as I'm done broadcasting. So that, if you follow me on YouTube or X, you'll have the most up-to-date episode of the Narrative Podcast. So for YouTube, follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Halsey Allen on YouTube, hit that notification bell, hit the little thumbs up on YouTube, thumbs up me, view the video, thumbs up me on YouTube, like and share if you want to. You can share the link on YouTube. And then also on X. Now on X, you got a little bit more options. Hit the Narrative Podcast link on X, and when you do that, click the little download button. You'll see the little downward arrow pointing down. And then also the heart-shaped like button. Click that. And then they got an actual comment box. You can type me a comment, give me some creative feedback, whatever, just hit me up. And then also click those little three bubbles on the side and share, this episode to any platform you want to share it to, like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, whatever you're active on, share the episode to that. But whatever you do, click the download button, download this episode or previously recorded episodes of the podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Also, I write poetry, and I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. And what it is a 30-page book of poetry encompassing us as a people. It's basically a snapshot of us as a people, all-encompassing. Look at us, everything we go through, everything we experience, all the nuances of our culture. If you're an original man or original woman, you can definitely relate to it. It'll resonate instantaneously as soon as you read one poem out of it. You'll feel like you're home at one poem. People outside of our culture, they can definitely they can definitely buy it if they consider themselves open-minded and progressive and want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. You can definitely check it out, read it, buy it, purchase it. The Black Card. So yeah, really creative poetry. You will love it. Good coffee table read. Great gift. Great chillax book. You will enjoy it. Definitely, it'll resonate with you. So to purchase it, it's only available on one medium currently. It's on poetizer.com. And if you're unfamiliar with Poetizer, it's basically a platform for novice writers, people that aren't quite at the professional level yet. And what that is it's a real cheap way for them to get their feet wet writing books. So it's basically a writer community. Welcomes all genres of writing. Specifically poetry. It's in the name, Poetizer, but it's open to other forms of writing such as short stories, novel writing, essay writing. You can even pen open letters and journal write on there. That's one of them platforms where there is no wrong way to do it. Whatever you want to write about. But what they have on poetizer.com is a feature that will allow participants of that community to turn their work into a book. And they got their choice, hardback, softback, and then for extra nominal fees, they edit and illustrate and do all that professional type stuff, even market it for you. For extra couple bucks. It's up to you to how much money you want to invest in yourself. But yeah, go check my book out on poetizer.com. Poetizer has a virtual online bookstore featuring everybody in that community that has written a book. So that's where all the books on Poetizer are on display. So go over to poetizer.com on their virtual online bookstore and purchase my book, The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. Purchase The Black Card today or get your Black Card revoked. And then last thing I want to plug before getting out of here, you guys, is my personal poetry blog on blogger.com. It's called Hallzies Poetry Corner, and the link is www.mrhalziesblogs.com, and it's basically just a collection of my poetry. And the unique thing about it is just all the poetry on there is spontaneously written in the moment, meaning I didn't contemplate on the subject matter, what I was going to title each piece. It really just, it came to me in the moment. I wrote all those poems off the cuff. I didn't think about anything and just posted it. But they're so intricate, so detailed, so intentional. You would think that I brainstormed on it or pre-wrote everything, but that's just the contrary. It's all off the cuff. Another good thing about it is it's relatable to everybody from all walks of life. I got a few, close to a dozen poems on there specifically for our people, original people, but the majority of them, like anybody can relate to. It's relatable poetry. You will love it. It'll resonate with you, make your day. Matter of fact, my tagline is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion. Poetry for all occasions. When you read one of my poems, you will find out just why. You'll definitely relate to them. You'll see that those poems live up to that tagline. Go check them out today. www.mrhalziesblogs.com on blogger.com. And the way you support the poetry blog is just share either the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. And then also hit that little heart-shaped like button. And then they got a comment section. When you get to the site, leave me a comment on one of my poems. Yeah. So that's everything. I think I plugged everything I got going on right now. Keep on listening to me. I probably got one more in the tank for this week for a weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. It might be tomorrow, it might be Friday. I don't know yet. But just, keep your ear out there in podcast land and, check me out. But definitely come back here for a full episode, a weekend edition of the Narrator Podcast. Now the weekend edition is a little slightly different than the weekday. I have more sections on it, so you got to tune in this weekend to see what the difference is from the weekday episode of the Narrator Podcast. But just keep on tuning in, keep on checking out the Narrator Podcast, and me, together with your help, we're going to change the narrative about how our people is being perceived and the way we're being portrayed. I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time, and I'm asking you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Till next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrator Podcast, signing off, and it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.